All right. We are good to go both places. Yay, yoga. All right. Oh. Never know whether this microphone thing for Facebook is worth it or not, but gonna use it anyway. We're here. We're here. Who else is here? Hello, YouTube. You see Keiko? All right, monkey. Out. See you. All right. 8:30. 9:30. Here we are. All right. So good morning. Good morning. Joanne, if you are here, Jamie says she misses you. Just kidding. Another instructor said that if she's not with her, hopefully she's with me. So Joanne, if you're here, hello. So today we're going to stretch into our hamstrings for sure. And I thought we'd play with some arm balance. So if you're feeling strong, yippee. And if you're not yet, you will be feeling strong. So remember to listen to your body regardless of where you go with any of the poses, right? So these are just suggestions. You try it out. If it's for you, lovely. If you need to make a modification, absolutely 100% do. If you need to skip something, right? Some poses are just not for everyone. Usually there's a modification. You can do something similar. And if you, if we're doing a pose here and you feel as if you're not sure where to take the modification, the pose I'm suggesting is just not working out, but you're not really sure how to make it right for you, holler, I mean, obviously not in the middle because it's hard for me to see, hard to communicate during the classes here, but after the fact, shoot me a little message. I'm more than happy to help make the practice accessible. That's the word I wanted. And to feel good in your practice. That's the point. So we're going to start seated. Head on over to your mat if you're not already there. And I have to, the weather is so nice. I'm trying to figure out a space out on the patio to practice because it's always so much nicer. But we'll have to figure that out still. So let's begin here with the heels aligned to the groin. Take inner thigh rotation, of course, if you haven't already. We want to make sure that the pelvis is upright whenever we're in a seated position. I was thinking, is there other exceptions? Maybe, probably, right? There always is. So pelvis is upright. We want to lift the pelvic floor, pull the lower belly in and up, and then sit tall through the sides. Try to relax your hips. If you need to hang on to your knees, feel free, but try not to squeeze your shoulders to do that. Mouth is not working. Go ahead and close your eyes. And imagine the bottom tips of your ears back just until you feel the weight of your head over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. So probably different than you sit on the couch, right? So being in this space, notice what feels good and what maybe is not so great this morning. And just remember to respect that. One area needs a little TLC. Just cut it back a bit for that space. And find the breath and just begin to observe how it's flowing. Another cue as to how your body is doing this morning. Breathing all through the nose. Allow the breath to expand. Being just as aware of your exhalations as you are your inhalations. Finding that just beyond comfortable yoga breath. And remember to make the breath the thing. Everything else is added to the breath. So let's see where we go. Extending the arms out to the sides. With the next inhalation, take the arms and stretch them up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bring them back down again. And allow your arms to reflect your breath. So you're empty when you hit the floor and you're full when you hit the top. Yeah? Again. One more of those. Come back to the top on an inhale. Exhale just the right hand back to the mat and give yourself a little tip over to that right side. Keep the pelvis rooted. Take a nice big breath here. With the next inhale, bring yourself back to center. And we're going to switch, taking it over to the left. Another big breath. Back up to the middle, inhale. One more time over to the right. Keeping the pelvis rooted, maybe see if you can get a little deeper into the side. Inhaling center. Back over to the left. Last one. And then back to the top. Exhale, release the arms. So let's take a nice easy little twist, bringing the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back. Gentle, gentle to begin. Notice where you twist most. So sometimes your seat wants to move a little bit. Right? Lean one side or the other. Sometimes it's just easy to turn your head. Right? Just kind of see where it is for you. Feel where it is for you. We're going to release that. Come on back through the center. Do the exact same thing on the second side. And notice if it's the same. Where is most more mobile? We're going to release that back to the middle again. Going back to the first side, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back. Press really firmly into the floor back there so you sit a little extra tall. And then we're going to pull with the hand against the knee-ish. If it's not with the knee, don't panic. Imagine rotating from your belly button. So the pelvis stays where it is, but that rotation starts a little bit higher. And then rotating the side ribs around. So you can take that left shoulder back without letting the right shoulder fall forward. Right? The right shoulder stays back. So making that twist a little bit more even up through the spine. Might not be a lot, might not be a very deep twist. Don't worry about it. We're going to release that coming back through the center and over to the second side. Same idea, we want to sit nice and tall, keeping the pelvis rooted, and just gently rotating up the spine. Take your time with it. Big breaths. And gently releasing it back to the middle again. Let's come around onto hands and knees. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Even out the weight on the four corners of the hands. Knees under hips. And we are going to be on our hands quite a bit here. So remember that if having your hands a little bit more forward takes the pressure off the wrists, or you want to build more strength in the arms and hands, imagine pulling the mat up underneath with your fingers so you activate the hand a little bit more. So you can make it More challenging or less. Yeah. So in a hands and knees position here, we're just going to move into some cat-cows. Inhale the belly toward the floor. And then exhale, round the spine toward the ceiling. Easy in and out like that. Take a few flows. Once more in each direction. Finding your middle. So from tabletop into kneeling plank. Hands forward or knees back, whatever you need to make that happen. Still thinking about the four corners of the hands. Be really, really aware of even weight distribution as much as you can. Shoulders are neutral on the back, the belly's pulled in. Staying on the knees or lifting the knees away from the floor. Cross through your heels here, keeping the pelvis level. We don't want to lift it or let it sag. Right in the middle. And then we'll lift the hips and make your way toward down dog. Just wiggle and stretch a little bit here. Finding your center then. So four corners of the hands, we want to press the chest back toward the thighs, arm or head hanging between the arms, and the heels reach for the floor. They don't have to touch. Instead of sinking the heels, go ahead and come up on the toes and really drop the heels over to the right. Keep the left hand on the floor. Press down really firm. Lift your hips nice and high. From here, bring your left hand to the hip. Let your hips come down and move into plank. This right knee can hit the floor if you need it or not. Let's release that back to down dog. We're going to do the same thing on the second side. So go ahead and lift your heels. Drop them to the left. Press the chest back. Keep that right hand planted nice and firm. And then bring the right hand to the hip and let the hips come down. Side plank. Modify as you need. And then back to down dog. Drop on down to the knees. Go ahead and take a little break in child pose. You will see that again. So if you loved it, you can be excited. And if you didn't love it, we can figure out how to modify it so that you do love it. So let's go back to our down dog. This time here, press really, really firmly into your right hand and bend your right knee. Keep the toes on the floor. Take your left hand to the outside of the right leg. So whether you can reach your outer thigh, your calf, your ankle maybe, taking the right leg straight and getting a little twist in here. Press through the right heel just like you are the left. Four corners of that right hand. And release. Taking the second side, press nice and firm into the left hand and bend the left knee. Right hand to the outside of the left leg. And twist here. Releasing that side. Dropping down to the knees and sitting back in your child's pose again. We're going to move back to our down dog. Walk the feet to the hands and come to standing fold. Bringing the feet shoulder width apart, let's just go ahead and walk in place a little bit. And then find a center here. So four corners of the feet even on the floor. Bend your knees so that your belly touches your thighs. You might have to bend a little or a lot, whatever it is, bring it in. We want to keep the knees hip distance apart, but take the arms behind the legs and squeeze your belly to your thighs, not your knees together, right? Keep that, keep squeezing in and see if you can take your legs straighter. They don't have to be straight, straighter. Find the sensation. Let your head hang if you can. And then release the arms. Take the fingers then and take them interlacing behind the lower back. The legs can be straight or bent. Pull the shoulder blades together on the back and stretch the knuckles away from the shoulders. Maybe they lift off your lower back, maybe they don't. Work to keep the shoulders away from the ears so they're squeezing together on the back and stretching away from the head. Let's take one more breath. Gently release the arms. Legs straight, hands to the thighs. So lifting the upper body halfway up, so we're roughly parallel to the floor, keeping the shoulders back. Lean on the legs if you need to lean, of course. And then bend into your knees and we're sitting into a chair. So if you feel like your bum is sticking out, tuck your tail under. But we don't want to flatten out the lower back, just keeping it in that neutral position. Lean if you need. Hands can come center otherwise or extend toward the ceiling. Keep the shoulders away from the ears, arms in line with the ears there. And then on an inhale, stretch to the ceiling and release it all. So here you've got some options. We're going to start with the hands on either side of the lower back. If you don't need the support on the lower back, you can definitely feel free to interlace your fingers here. Same idea, pulling them together, stretching the knuckles away. Otherwise, with the hands on the backs of the hips here, we're going to pull the elbows in. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep the pelvis over the ankles and lift the chest toward the ceiling. So it's just a gentle little back bend. We don't want to let the hip just flop back. So think keeping the chin tucked and taking the bottom tips of your ears back to create the arch rather than just letting your head flop. Take a couple more breaths in this position. Open it a little deeper if you can. With the next inhale, we're going to make our way back up to a neutral position, releasing the arms. Hands back to the thighs. We're going to come over into that half fold again. And then all the way over into the full fold. Bringing the feet together. So hug them in. Squeeze the legs in together. Even if they don't touch, imagine squeezing. We're going to bring the hands to the thighs, sitting back into our chair again. This different variation might be a little wobbly, so take your time. Tucking the tailbone, keeping it simple. You can simply take that left hand to the outside of the right knee and the right hand to the hip and add a twist. Yeah. If you want a little bit more challenge, that left elbow is coming to the outside of the knee and maybe the palms can come together and twist here. So listen to your body. Feeling steady on the feet, long through your spine. And then we're going to release that. Coming back into your fold. And then we're going to switch sides. So bringing yourself back into that modified chair position. Hug the legs in, tuck the tailbone again if you feel like your bum is sticking out. Let right hand to the outside of the left knee and the left hand to the hip to keep it simple. Otherwise, that right elbow, maybe the palms together, rotating around. Let's gently release that, coming back into the fold again. Opening the feet out into our natural hip bone distance. This time here, let's take a little bend in through the knees. And on an inhale, we're gonna roll all the way up. Back to standing at the top of your mat. So let's go ahead and move into our sun salutes. We're going to take our normal 3 A variations and then a B. But remember, you can thread things in wherever. So add things, leave them out, skip a vinyasa, whatever you gotta do. Let's go ahead and inhale, stretch the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, take yourself into fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhaling, we're stepping ourselves back to plank. Kneeling if you need kneeling. Elbows tucked to the sides as you lower to the belly. Hands next to the side ribs, just a nice little roll of the shoulders for baby cobra. Releasing that, up and back to down dog. Inhaling, step forward, fold. Halfway up on that next inhale. Folding back over again. And then reaching to the ceiling. And releasing the arms. So again, like that, inhale and lift. Exhale and fold. Halfway up. And back to plank. Drop it down. Inhale for cobra. Back to down dog. Inhaling, step forward. Halfway up. Fold back over. And then reach for the ceiling. Exhale, release. All right, so again, always have one more just like that, but you're on your own. All right, so connect to your breath. Feel where your body is. And let's do that. So you got this. Inhale and lift. And go. Figure it out. So we're going to take our other variation, add on if you're able and ready. Okay? So on an inhale this time, sit into chair. Exhale, take it into fold. Inhaling halfway. Exhaling back to plank. All the way down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale the right foot forward for lunge. Toes to fingers, heel or knee to the mat. We lift the upper body. Exhale on back down into down dog. Inhale and plank. And exhale to the belly. Cobra. And down dog. Left foot stern, inhaling it forward. Right heel or knee to the mat and lift the upper body. Back down, down dog. Forward into plank. Exhale on down. Cobra. And down dog. Hold here or drop on down to the knees if you need. Finding those nice full breaths. Taking one more here. If you drop down, lift back to down dog. And then from down dog, inhaling, step forward into fold. Coming halfway up, fold it back over again. Inhaling into a chair. Exhale and release it all. All right, so let's take a nice big step back with the left foot. I'm going to straddle here. So keeping the feet parallel to each other. Feel even on the four corners of your feet. Let's go ahead and take the hands to the hips. If you feel like you need the support, you can lean on your thighs if you need, right? So keep the belly active, shoulders down and back, and we're going to hinge forward halfway-ish. So find your halfway. And then gently see if you have a deeper fold. Leave your hands on your hips for just a moment. Keep the spine nice and long. The elbows, think pointing toward the ceiling. Keeping the shoulders where they are, let your hands move toward the floor. If they don't touch, you can absolutely support, say, on your shins, right? Or find a block. And then bend the knees if you need. We're taking the index and middle fingers and wrapping them around the big toes. Keep even on the four corners of the feet. See if you can bend your elbows out to the sides. Even if your knees are bent, bend your elbows out. And if you need a little more, take the legs straighter or pull on your toes. And imagine placing the crown of your head on the floor between your feet. Let's take those fingers, releasing them, interlace them behind the lower back. Pull the shoulder blades together here, stretch the knuckles away from the shoulders, and see where that takes you. And then we'll release the hands, taking them to the mat. So here, turn your left foot in a little bit and turn your right toes toward the top of the mat. Lift the upper body and your legs should be like you want them to be for warrior two. Okay? Check them out if you need to make adjustments too. Make sure you can see your right big toe beyond your knee, stack your knee and ankle. Pelvis is level. That back hip likes to kick up a little bit. Keep it down. Extend the arms if and when you're ready. Staying even on the feet. Nice big breath. We'll take the right leg straight. Reach forward over your toes as far as you can reach. When you can't reach any further, let that hand fall to the thigh or shin, leaning on it if you need. Left arm reaching toward the ceiling. Even in your feet, nice and tall through your spine. Let's release it over into a lunge. Come up on the back toes. So you can absolutely drop the back knee if you need. Take a shorter stance, wherever you need to be. And then slowly take this right leg straight. Press down into the four corners of the right foot and back through your right hip. Feeling the hips square. Try and keep the shoulders down and back, so prop if you need to prop. Let's add a little twist in here. So leave the left hand where it is. Bring the right hand to the hip. Help keep that hip from sliding forward. And then rotating your belly, your side ribs, and your shoulder around into a twist here. It's a little wobbly, so find stability. And then we're going to release it. Bend into the knee and drop this left knee to the floor. So wiggle around into your hips a little bit here. And you can absolutely simply take this right leg straight again and stretch your hamstring. However, maybe we start to inch the right toes forward. Let the hips come down. Maybe this right leg is straight, maybe it isn't quite. Don't panic if it's not. And in fact, keep a little bend. If you feel like you're hyperextending this right knee, bend it a little bit. You can lift your upper body for a little bit deeper stretch in through the back leg. We're going to take one more breath here. And then walk that right foot back in. Or wiggle it and mess up your mat. Whatever you got to do to get it there. Lifting the back knee, we're going to take the hands, walk around into the center of our straddle again. So let's take the second side, turning the right toes in a little bit and the left toes toward the back of your mat here, lifting the upper body. And again, finding our warrior two. So if you need to make adjustments, make adjustments. When you're ready, extend the arms. Take the left leg straight. Reach forward of your toes and hinge over to your triangle. Leaning if you have to lean, keeping the right shoulder back. Steady on the feet. And then releasing that side over into your lunge. Up on the back toes, down on the back knee, wherever you are, and then taking that left leg straight. Finding your twist here, so make sure you're feeling stable enough for it. Bring the left hand to the hip and rotate around. Go ahead and release your twist. Bend into the left knee, and then take your right knee to the floor. And you decide where to go from here. Whether you take the left leg just simply straight, or whether you walk your toes out. Finding the stretch here. Again, lifting the chest a little bit more adds in that extra little bit of fun. Watch the left knee, keep it soft. And then gently wiggle those toes back in. Coming up off the back knee and walking the hands back into the straddle. So once you're in that straddle, check out that your toes point forward, right? And try and maintain the four corners of the feet. From here, see if you can walk your feet a step wider. And if that's okay, maybe a step wider. Both feet, one foot, whatever, right? How wide can you go, maintaining the feet on the floor, the hips in line with the ankles, wherever that might be. Listen to your body. I'd be happy to have your fingers on the floor. We'll go ahead and walk the feet back in. And step back to the top of the mat. So let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees and take a child's pose. Just kind of reset your brain. And from child's pose, lift yourself up onto hands and knees. So as promised, a little bit of arm balance. So listen to where you are and add on if you need to add on or not. These are all options, and if you're already struggling, don't feel as if you have to do something else on top of that. Right? So again, find the four corners of the hands, pressing down into the floor. Spread your fingers nice and wide. And take your feet just behind your hands. So even if your knees are really bent, you're going to bend them anyway, so don't worry about that. Four corners flat. Knees are bent. Think knees into armpits. Okay? See if you can make your tricep and shin connect. Once you've kind of gotten that space, I like to come up on my toes for whatever reason. It just makes it more accessible for me. If you bend your elbows a little bit, you'll notice the body weight lean on the backs of your arms. Yeah? So see if you can lean forward enough to pick a foot up. Use your belly. Right? Find the place where maybe you can pick the other foot up as well. Take another breath or two. Release it, come in and out a bunch of times. You'll find where your body starts to understand what it needs to do, even if it can't quite get there, right? If your knee can't come high up enough into your armpit, it still understands what needs to happen, and maybe it can modify it enough that the rest can happen too, or you just know where to work. So release what you got there. Go ahead and sit back into a child's pose. We're going to do that one more time, and we're going to change it up just a little bit, and maybe it actually will make it a little bit more accessible or not. I always thought that variation was easier until I understood this one. So let's see. Instead of bringing your knees to your armpits, placing the hands exactly where they were before, bring your knees to the outsides of your shoulders. But everything else is the same. We want to hug the knees in nice and firmly, start to lean forward, and you're going to find a place where maybe a foot will lift. Maybe the other one. Okay? So play with that. And if outside the shoulders is not working, bring the knees back into the armpits. Right? See where you need to modify it to meet your needs. Right? Our bodies are different. Our strengths are different. Take just a couple more breaths. Play with that a minute. And when you've had enough, come on down and rest in child's pose again. So coming back up onto our all fours. That was a lot of weight on the hands, right? Instead of having your fingers point forward, turn the fingers out. So rotate the fingers outward, not inward. And imagine bringing your fingertips to point to your knees. Ideally, the hands are still shoulder width apart, and the heel of the hand is parallel to the top edge of your mat. That may not be a reality, so do the best you can. Having your knees a little closer to your fingers eases up, yeah? If you walk them back a little bit, it intensifies. We want the arms straight, but not locked. And then maybe you shift your weight back towards your heels a little bit. So find where the stretch is. And it is crazy intense, but it should feel good. Gently release all that, bringing the knees in, gently pick your hands up. And instead of having the palms to the floor, take the backs of the hands to the floor, fingers point toward each other. Again, wrist shoulder width-ish. Right? But see if you can keep the back of your hand flat to the floor. It's very weird. The thumb doesn't like to go down. The arms ideally are a little straighter. See what you can do with that. Find the stretch. And then keep that and see if you can squeeze your fingers in to make a fist. Squeeze them in as tight as you can. Keep the back of the hand on the floor. Spread your fingers nice and wide. And then quickly squeeze in nice and tight, spread really wide. Squeeze in, spread out. Do that a bunch of times. And then end with your hands wide. Gently pick them up. And the finger pad, the thing that leaves the fingerprints on your windows, yeah, put that on the floor. Bend your first knuckle back. Bend the second knuckle forward. And then keep the bend in the finger that attaches to the hand, or the knuckle that attaches to the hand. Okay. Do that with all of your fingers. Well, your thumb's a little weird, but you get the idea, right? Finger dance. So once you have the proper bend in your fingers, press down into the floor and imagine pulling the floor up underneath so that the palm is not on the floor. And watch those crazy fingers. They don't like to always move like we tell them to, do they? You can put a little bit more or less body weight, making it more intense. And then gently release that. Sitting back on your heels for a second or up on your knees if that's better. Just gently roll your hands. Wiggle your fingers, kind of shake it out. Flex your hands forward and back. Shake. And then we're going to release that. Come on over to your seat. So extending the legs out nice and long. Feet are hip bone distance apart. Toes are pointing up at the ceiling. You've got a nice level seat. Belly's in, shoulders down and back. Let's lift the arms. Exhale and take yourself over the legs. So maybe you touch your toes and maybe you don't. Just let your hands fall where they fall. Shoulders are down and back. Taking just a couple more breaths. Inhale and bring yourself back up again. Exhale, release it. Let's take that right foot flat to the floor. And you can have it on the inside of the left leg or on the outside. And whether it's closer to your hip or closer to your heel, ankle, whatever, doesn't matter. Pelvis is level. This right foot is flat on the floor. Spine is tall. And you can absolutely hang on to this leg up. Maybe this left leg has to be straight, but maybe you can bend the knee and bring that heel in front of your right sit bone. You don't want to sit on the heel. It is in front of it. So your pelvis is still upright and level. Spine is still tall. And it's a more intense twist. Well, not yet, but it will be. Take that left arm, reach for the outside of your right leg here, and your right hand behind your back, adding in your twist. So you can kind of push and pull against the floor, push and pull against this right leg, nice and even up through the spine. We're going to take another big breath. releasing it back to center. Unhook your legs. And we'll go to the second side. So left foot flat, inside or outside. And each side is different. So take the time to go through the preparation for it. Right? One day, if you go too far, your body might all of a sudden complain. You're like, what happened? I did this yesterday. It doesn't matter. So take the steps. Bend the right knee or not. Sitting up nice and tall, wrapping the right arm, supporting with the left back there, and opening into your twist. One more breath on this side. And then release it back to the middle. Unhook your legs. Bounce out a little bit if that feels good. And then taking the feet flat to the floor. Hang on to your hamstrings. Lift your chest here. Maybe just lift your toes up off the floor. You can leave the toes low, come to the middle, extend the legs. Reach if you want to reach. And then let's bring the soles of the feet together, hang on to those ankles, and roll on back. Soles of the feet stay together, let them come to the floor, and just rest your knees to the sides. Let your shoulders rest back. Release that lower belly for now. And then bringing the knees together. Let's draw the knees into the chest. And just give it a nice little rock. So taking the feet flat to the floor again. We want the feet hip bone distance apart, toes point forward, heels pretty close to your hips, not quite touching. Our bodies, again, are a little different. So you may need to modify exactly where your feet are. Let's tuck the arms in nice and tight to the sides of the body. If you can do that better with your elbows bent, feel free to have your fingers point towards the ceiling. You can take your fingers flat to the, or your hands flat to the floor as well. So either one. We want to press down into the floor, pull the heels toward the hips, and gently lift the hips away from the mat. And then you can modify it here as well. Keep the tailbone tucking toward the knees. Maybe you want to leave your elbows bent. Maybe you want to take your arms straight. You can interlace your fingers behind your back. Tuck your shoulders up a little bit closer together. Keep the head and neck comfortable here. We'll take another nice big breath. And then just gently release what you got and come on back down to the floor. Hold for a moment. And then pull the knees into the chest, nice and gentle, rocking. And then we're taking our final twist here. So whether you want to leave your knees tucked in, whether you want to take your feet to the floor, shift your hips, all the fancy stuff, you decide the variation and take your knees over to the right. And of course, you have the same idea. Once you're there, you could take the legs straight or one straight. You can cross your legs here. You can just melt into the mat or stretch through that left heel or knee. We're going to take just a couple more nice big breaths over on this side. And gently make your way back through the center. Taking that same variation over to your second side. So making the adjustments that you need. Taking the legs to the left. And if you need to modify over on this side because it's not the exact same as the other side, then take those modifications. Always listening to the body. Just a couple more big breaths over here. And then we'll make our way back up to the middle again. Drawing the knees into the chest and rocking. Then squeeze the knees in nice and tight. Pull your forehead towards your knees. Give yourself a hug. Releasing that, take a full body stretch. Fingertips to toes. And then release your stretch. Make your way to whatever Shavasana is going to look like today. Allow the body to feel aligned, perfectly comfortable. And then let go. Release the muscles. Allowing the attention to settle back solely on the breath. Release control of the breath. See if you can keep your focus there. Keeping the mind quiet, the body resting. Just give yourself a few minutes to simply be. your breath to gently deepen. Restore small movements to the body, gradually wiggling and stretching. And when you're ready, taking the feet flat to the floor, slowly making your way back up to a seated position. Sitting well, and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. So I hope you feel better. Yeah, if you enjoyed that, certainly like it, save it somewhere so you can access it again. And I will see you next week. Have a great weekend and holler, like I say, if I can help you modify something or if you have a question or whatever. See you guys. Thanks.